welcome to another edition of Trader Talk TV. Today we got Ari from Triple Lift in the office. Hey Ari.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about programmatic native, what it means for publishers and what it means for buyers. So Ari, before we do that, let's just give you a brief introduction of what you do at Triple Lift and a bit about the company as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ari Lewine. I'm the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Triple Lift. I look after things like sales and marketing, and we are recently expanding into Europe with our new headquarters in London. So we're excited to start working with EMEA publishers. And basically what we are, very simply put, is a native ad exchange. We specialize in in-feed native ads in particular, as native, as we found, is a very broad topic that can mean a lot of things. In-feed native ads are ads that match the look and feel of publishers' websites. And what makes Triple Lift particularly special is you can now do that through programmatic pipes, meaning if you work with any DSP, you can now run in-feed native ads directly through your existing DSP partners. So that's what we do in a nutshell. We're a native ad exchange.
Okay, let's talk about native programmatic, right? Obviously, Facebook and Twitter have basically captured the lion's share of the mobile market, mobile ad market, particularly here in the UK and Europe. And the experiences, their ad experience is much more, to use the word native, it's more of a sort of a natural experience. So let's talk about how native programmatic gives other people that same kind of opportunities and how it works. So let's talk from a publisher's perspective. How does a typical publisher use your technology and how they sort of sell that native opportunity to a programmatic buyer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Facebook and Twitter have essentially proven that native is the way that mobile can be monetized in a very elegant fashion. And if you look at any of their earnings reports or what have you, it's been an extraordinarily successful tactic.
Yeah.
Now, Facebook and Twitter are unique in that they have very large engineering teams and they have massive sway in market. A premium publisher who excels at editorial and is very prestigious in market may not have those same resources. So we work with publishers to essentially give them parity, so to speak, in market with the Facebook and Twitters of the world. So the way that we work with them is we have technology that we license to publishers that scans the publisher's page to understand how things are designed. And we're able to essentially dynamically format brands' content to match the unique look and feel of each individual website.
Yeah.
And what that allows them to do essentially is to then have a unique selling proposition with the likes of Facebook. So rather than going with traditional IAB ad formats, which the market views as perhaps commoditized, a publisher can go with something that is absolutely unique to them, and they're the only ones in the world that can offer it.
Yeah.
And because Triple Lift is programmatic, you can do interesting things like create PMPs around it. So if you're a publisher that perhaps has unique data or unique audiences, you can package it up at your own rates and offer that to your marketers.
So let's sketch this out. So let's typical publisher's page. Let's say you put the tags on, and let's see the process of actually how that works. Let's go from buyer then to publisher. Let's have a look and see how that works.
Sounds good. So on the buy side, right, we have DSPs, and we have the likes of folks like DBM, the Trade Desk, MediaMath, AppNexus, and others. And all of these players are plugged into the Triple Lift exchange. Like so.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've provided technology here that allows them to basically upload a very simple set of assets. And if you've ever worked with social companies, it's a similar set that you've been familiar with. So essentially, it's an image or video.
Yeah.
You have some copy, right? A landing page URL, and a logo, right? What Triple Lift's technology does is then takes this to a publisher's page that may look something like this.
Yeah.
And a publisher would carve out a unique ad slot. So we don't work with these banner ad slots traditionally like the leaderboard or right-hand rail. We may work with publisher to monetize a in-feed ad slot like so. And what our technology does is takes these assets from the agency or the brand and dynamically formats them. So this particular publisher may use a certain Helvetica font, for example.
Yeah.
Our copy gets transformed. This image may be really sort of wide and not very tall, but this placement may be very tall. So our technology can build sophisticated handling of how do we take that brand image and make it render beautifully. So if there's a model, for example, we don't do things like cut off the model's face. We have patents around a type of sort of computer engineering called computer vision,
right,
which basically teaches computers how to look at images like human beings do.
Yeah.
So to ascertain things like important objects, edge detection, focal point detection. And what this allows a publisher to do, of course, is they can create incremental revenue. And that's because they're already successfully monetizing these IAB slots, but particularly in-feed has been very hard to monetize. And what we've seen in market, by the way, is there's a lot of ad tech companies promising incremental revenue. And that's one thing. What we find harder and perhaps more interesting for publishers is how do you get incremental revenue while maintaining the user experience? So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is making publishers more money, but not doing so with pop-up ads, outstream video ads, or any ads that can be particularly interruptive.
So what you're trying to say is that the core business of most of these publishers are selling banners on sites, right? And what you're saying is your technology is offering them another road to revenue, basically.
That's exactly right.
But it's interesting. We just want to talk about the publishers' pages. So they're obviously trying to mimic the user experience they have with their own content. And I take it each publisher is going to have their own different logic and how they actually apply your advertising. So are you taking sort of like the Guardian's going to have its own way of looking, the Telegraph's going to have its own way of looking. So does your sort of system sort of ingest that data and then basically apply that to the bespokes, but to the sort of data points here, and then sort of make the ads effectively?
Yeah, what happens here behind the scenes from a publisher perspective is in their HTML, they have a triple if tag, right? Yeah. And that TL tag sits here. And what that does basically is we treat this like a specialized ad placement. So the publisher, because this is their premium real estate, they ultimately control the exact look and feel. So what I mean by that is perhaps they have something here that says advertisement. They choose that they want this to say advertisement versus sponsored by. Perhaps they want everything to be shaded a certain color. They ultimately control this. Now, TripleIF then creates a template based on the direction of the publisher. Let's say it's The Guardian. And so The Guardian says, we want it to say advertisement. We want it to be this shade of gray. We create this template. And then our technology takes these assets and transforms it to a unique Guardian template. And that template will be unique to The Guardian. No other publisher in the world will have that ad product. And so that's different because currently when premium publishers go to an advertiser, they're offering 300 by 250, 720 by 90s, and 160 by 600. And that's not unique. That same 300 by 250 that runs on The Guardian is the same 300 by 250 on The Telegraph, on The Independent, on ESI, and others. With a unique ad product, this elevates the conversation to something that's proprietary and unique. And now they rise out of the commoditization. This is something that I think Facebook and Twitter have done extraordinarily well. Now the other thing is because these ads are more prominent and more relevant and formatted beautifully, not just sort of boxes and rectangles shoved in on the side, but rather a part of the natural way that consumers engage with content, there's also increased performance. And because performance is higher, brands are willing to pay higher CPMs and publishers can be more successful. So we think we can actually grow the overall pie by focusing in particular around format innovation. To me, one thing that I think is interesting is as the programmatic ecosystem matures, we've become incredibly intelligent about data and pipes. I think the last big opportunity is in what we call the last mile, right? These companies are incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
We have all of the pipes and open RTB protocols and what have you, and we have a ton of scale now. All those things in the last 5 or 6 years have been largely solved for. So when it comes time for this, when it actually comes time to deliver an ad, how do we as an industry improve that? Rather than serving these boxes and rectangles that were developed in 1994, why not run something that was developed in 2014, for example? So we think this is sort of the last great opportunity, the last great gold rush, if you will, in terms of the ad tech ecosystem, is creating really beautiful ad experiences that are non-interruptive.
And from a buyer's perspective, then, what do they get from this? I mean, obviously native is something that most brands crave. You know, a banner is fine, but the real sort of interaction and sort of brand lift is going to come from sort of unique and bespoke sort of advertising. So let's talk about what a brand is looking from here. And let's see some of your use cases in the US, because obviously you've got a big market in the US. Let's talk about how they might use your technology.
Brands are using us from all the way from upper funnel to lower funnel. So we work with many Fortune 500 brands, or our partners do, on native retargeting. So retargeting is obviously among the highest ROI tactics that brand marketers use. And so they're running their traditional retargeting efforts, and in addition to that, they're also running native retargeting. So the same exact technology we talked about a moment ago can be applied towards dynamic retargeting efforts. So that's first and foremost at the low part of the funnel. Then many clients will treat this as they would any other exchange. In other words, they treat TripleLift from a performance standpoint no different than the way they treat AdX, Rubicon, Programmatic, OpenX, AppNexus, or any other major exchange. To the extent it achieves their KPIs, they optimize budget into it, and to the extent it doesn't, they optimize out. Mm-hmm. On an upper funnel, the ads speak for themselves. On average, a TripleLift in-feed ad is something on the order of 3 to 4 times larger than a 300 by 250. Mm-hmm. Because it has a logo superimposed on the image, it's an incredible branding experience. And the last thing is we've done studies that leverage eye tracking. So basically, these are focus groups where consumers get paid to come in and the camera on their computer looks at where they're focusing on the page. Mm-hmm. And the research has shown that essentially people notice a TripleLift in-feed ad over 2 times more than a banner ad, even when both are 100% viewable in the viewable browse area. But more than that, the average time spent on a banner ad is something on the order of 2 milliseconds. The average time spent with an in-feed ad is 2.5 seconds. So if you're a marketer thinking about upper funnel things like branding and awareness,
it's going to be that anyway. If it's in feed and it's in with the content, then it's going to be sort of in view most of the time anyway. So.
That's right, particularly on mobile.
Yeah.
On mobile, that's literally depending on the nature of the site. That the brand's ad may be the only thing in the consumer's hand at any given time, and so that kind of attention, by the way. The only people who have been bringing that kind of ad experiences at any scale previously is Facebook.
Yeah. So we touched on mobile there. So in terms of mobile, we obviously have a problem with publishers not making enough money. And
absolutely.
The limited real estate sort of makes the experience. It limits what publishers can do in terms of advertising. So let's talk about the mobile opportunity and just talk about native programmatic and mobile. Like why it's sort of perfect for it, basically.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say mobile has been the catalyst for native's growth. When you think about why is there this crescendo in market about native advertising, I think because mobile has become such a big thing. I think to add to it, beyond the rise of mobile, there's another really sort of topical areas like ad blocking.
Yes.
That have also brought native into the conversation.
Yeah.
Because the reason we have an ad blocking situation to begin with perhaps is a weird thing has been happening in market is as IAB ad formats cease to perform as they once did, as they sort of become very, consumers become very used to them and find them inelegant because they're just sort of off to the side, people have been inclined to try to ignore them or to install software to block it. Now, I think what's been happening then is the industry's response has been, okay, if consumers are going to ignore our ads, we're going to make ads more annoying. And what native says is rather than making ads more annoying to get attention, we're going to make them blend in and be less annoying. We're going to make them a part of the natural flow. We're going to respect the interface in which it's in, right? A pop-up ad pops up regardless of where it is. A native ad says, I'm going to look up, I'm going to look down, I'm going to look around, and I'm going to see where I'm at, and I'm going to sort of behave like those around me. It fits in, right? Mm-hmm. So I think mobile is where the conversation for native gets very interesting. I like to say that what the banner ad was for desktop these last 2 decades, mobile will become for native. Native will become for mobile in terms of becoming the de facto golden standard of ad formats going forward. And I don't think that's something necessarily only going forward. If you look at what's happened in market today, AOL 2 years ago has gone 100% native in their mobile. Yahoo has gone 100% native in mobile. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, Twitter, Tumblr have gone 100% native. BuzzFeed.
So you're saying that for publishers, obviously publishers don't have the same kind of resources to build that sort of engineering layer that those big media companies have.
Yeah.
So being able to introduce this into the mobile space is going to help publishers make more money.
I hope so. Those are the content creators, that fund those social platforms. Most of the stuff I see in my Facebook newsfeed is content from great publishers.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily always fair what's happening that Facebook is monetizing that content that way. So I hope to be some small part, TripleLift to be a small part of that solution to help great content creators monetize.
What do you think about the sort of the likes of AMP coming in? What does that affect your model, or is it? Do you see, like, obviously there's a lot of talk about AMP at the minute, but when we did a trader talk recently about it, do you think that affects ad tech, or is it going to make the process better if not?
I don't have a particular POV industry-wide, but I'm actually very excited about AMP.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about AMP, I think Facebook Instant Articles and Apple News go along that conversation, which is the 3 largest tech companies, or even more than the 3 largest, are all working on delivering mobile content faster and more seamlessly. And I think similarly, we should be thinking about delivering mobile ad experiences faster and more seamlessly.
Yeah.
So when you talk about AMP, at TripleLift, we actually have a TripleLift Format Labs, which works on things that are a year or 2 years away in terms of what next generation formats are. Things like virtual reality ads, 360-degree immersive ads where you take out your mobile device and you're able to explore the ad in your own world, things like that. We're working on how do we build support for publishers who are leveraging AMP, which I think once Google starts favoring AMP-friendly publishers in their search results,
which is going to happen very soon.
It's the same way. I think it's fair to expect that publishers who adopt Facebook Instant Articles may start showing up more prominently based on Facebook's edge rank. So this will become table stakes for premium publishers very soon. And then the big question is, are you going to hand over all the keys to those platforms to monetize?
No.
Or how are you going to monetize in ways that the playbook that they've been using? And I'm literally taking notes and sitting and watching what's happening. And at TripleLift, we're trying to take the same playbook that Facebook and Google have done and license that technology to publishers as an independent company, as a counterparty, because when I talk to publishers, many of them aren't keen on giving the lion's share of their revenue over to these platforms. They've already been largely reliant on them for traffic acquisition. To be also reliant on them on monetization is a scary proposition when one tweak of an edge rank can cause your business to rise and fall, as we've seen when reading ExchangeWire. We hear these stories regularly.
Yeah. All right, thanks for that overview on
absolutely.
Programmatic Native, and we look forward to seeing more of you in Europe this year.
Thank you.
And that was Trader Talk TV, and we'll see you next time.